What's up? We are back again to share another interesting, shocking, or just strange, but very true story with you on Guilty or Not. Disturbing individuals. 19-year-old Susan Atkins was perfect for the infamous Charles Manson Cole. Soon into her stay, Atkins developed an obsessive infatuation with Manson, coming to believe he was the physical return of Christ as such. When he told her of an imminent and apocalyptic reservoir, she immediately believed him. In fact, Atkins was so convinced of this concept she was one of the first to volunteer to help initiate it here in this Son order her an equally dedicated follower. Watson and Patricia Krenwinkel, as well as the more hesitant Linda Kasabian, to drive to 10050 Cielo, they slaughter its residents as violently as possible. The rest of this story remains a part of American dark history, with 5 innocent people brutally butchered, including most notably poly-pregnant actress Sharon Tate. According to the follower, it pledged spell out enough time to give birth but was merely told to shut up and front.
What happened that night you all went to Sharon Tate's house? What really happened?
Well, I remember getting in the car with Tex and Tex Watson and my other 2 co-defendants, and we drove to the house with instructions to kill everyone in the house.
From Charlie?
Yeah. And not just that, but that we were instructed to go all the way down every house, hit every house on the
street?
On the street, yes.
And kill all the people in those houses?
Kill all the people in all those houses. And we went into the house, and I remember that as we went in, a car came up to the driveway, and I remember Tex getting out, and without saying anything, there were gunfire shot. I was in the bushes. And
that's when the young boy, Stephen Parent, was killed.
He was killed.
In the car, outside.
Right. The people in the house were all brought into the living room and tied up, and I remember that Wojtek Bakowski, I believe is his name, I had tied his hands with a towel and then was instructed to kill him. And I raised the knife that I had in my hand, and I couldn't put the knife down. I couldn't bring it down. It was just as though there was a force there that held my wrist, and I couldn't move. And as he saw that I couldn't move, then he very easily undid the ties, the towel that I had tied his wrist with, and he and I began to fight. And I remember I was screaming for help, and he was screaming for help, and then Tex came and helped me, and I was left to sit and watch Sharon Tate. And about that time, all I can remember seeing is people just scattering in different places and running in different places, and I was left sitting with Sharon Tate, and she was talking to me, and I remember that I had absolutely, I felt nothing. I felt absolutely nothing for her. As she begged for her life and for the life of her baby.
In this room were all the survivors of those victims, of yours and the others, their families and their friends. What would you say to them?
Say what I would have to say to them. I just love them. I feel for them. I feel their pain. I feel their sorrows and their loss. And I didn't feel that years ago. I didn't feel anything for them.
The man known as Robert was a manipulative child molester and an epitome of psychopathic behavior. Whilst unlike the other on in this list, he didn't murder someone. The coldness in which he described the molestation of his stepdaughter, he's just as chilling it.
Started at about the age of 1. When I was the punisher, I was the one who decided punishment over the children. I was the one who spanked the children. I was the one who punished the children. I would tell myself, well, she's not going to be like that. She is going to be the perfect mate. And I told myself that. And I didn't molest her then.
The perfect mate.
The perfect
So you were...
mate. I was grooming her to fit me. Then when I molested her at 18 months old. And I thought to myself, I said, well, this is going to be easy. This is going to be easy. I'm going to have my own child, my own stepdaughter, which is really not blood related to me. And I'm telling myself these things, it's not blood related to me. When she grows up to be 14, 15 years old, I will have the perfect sexual mate for sexual purposes. Anything else didn't matter. It was sex. That was it. I didn't care about, really, honestly, I didn't love the child. I wanted the child for my own purposes, you know, and treating them like a person, but they were just objects. The best way to fool people is to help them, is to ask what they want, ask what they need. Do they need any help doing anything? Do they need any money, or do they need their car fixed? Do they need the grass cut? Do they need their children looked out for? Do they need anything to get them to think that I am a decent person and want to help? Trust me, I will help. And you know, that was manipulation all the way.
January 1999, after 8 years of a violent marriage, Mary Jean Pearl finally separated from her abusive husband, John Battaglia. It was the pair hated one another. Pearl was convicted he had died their daughter Fair from liberty still, while she initially let John continue to see them after he attacked her in Sma and Christmas, a subsequent 2-year probation sentence, when the visits became periodic then in April 2001. Pearl complained that he'd violated his parole. Once Mom searched Faith and Liberty's next visit would be their last, according to prosecutors. This was the final straw, and an infuriated John decided to murder his daughter. Knowing just how much she would devastate Pearl, of course unaware of his plan, she left the pair with him for a planned dinner. However, John instead took them back to his apartment. There he suddenly found Pearl, all the while stammering he's gone at Liberty. In faith, John placed the call on speakerphone and sold Fair to ask her mother why she wanted Daddy to go to jail, as Pearl listened, obviously fearful and confused.
I said, you're going to have to learn this lesson. And I just held her by the shoulder and I popped her in the head twice. And, you know, she moved her head the wrong way and I snapped her nose. And she fell down and I just walked away. She said I struck her about 20 times, but she was unconscious before she hit the ground. Well, the practice, she got me put in prison. She knows that the bullshit she pulled, the only way to keep from sending her front teeth flying out her asshole is to have me behind this glass. Because she's a bitch, and she deserved to have the shit knocked out of her, but you know, what the hell.
And when you think about that incident, how does that make you feel?
Makes me feel like I should have killed her. She's such a pain in the ass. Do I think I was a good father to Liberty and Faith? Yes, I mean, you know, I tried to be. Oh, gosh. My fondest memory of my daughters, well, I have another daughter. She's 30 now, Christy.
All right, two.
When we used to all get together and go somewhere, it was a kind of a little bit of a 3-ring circus, if you can imagine. 3 highly energetic, fun little girls just having a great time. Oh, how did Faith and Liberty die? They said they died of gunshot wounds.
So there's nothing about that you remember?
Not particularly, no.
I think it was the police called us and said that they had found him. But he had gone and picked up a girlfriend right after that, and then went next door to a tattoo parlor and had 2 roses in barbed wire tattooed on his arm for Faith and Liberty.
Yeah, the night that I was arrested, I had the roses.
Do they have any significance?
Yeah, I love roses.
By 1990, Gerald John Schaffer was desperate for the attention it was received. So his joy, he was able to make contact with true crime alpha Sundar London. A former high school girlfriend, however, was her belief that Schaffer was innocent and that the crimes she discussed were merely lurid fiction. The book, written by a frustrated and framed ex-cop, in serials of letters he recounted the supposedly fictional murder from the perspective of killer police officers. Schaffer instead they were, but police believe they were Finley descriptions of the actual crimes. These letters were published in the book Killer Fiction as well as its additional sequel Eerily. While Schaffer Manson he was innocent, he used the book to his body counted. Whilst authorities concluded he was responsible for the murder of 34 women, he claimed the murder was closer to hundreds forever. He asserted his crimes that even impress his fellow serial killers Ted Bundy.
And I'd like to do something with my life, that exemplifies the good as opposed to the bad. And I had hoped that Killer Fiction would have a good, would be something that would be good. And it's kind of a mixed bag, actually. Some people say, yeah, it's really good. And then others say, it's really disgusting. And I say, yeah, you're right, it is. It's really disgusting. Does it make you want to hate murder? Or does it make you want to do murder? Does it really horrify you? Are you a little more cautious about picking up that hitchhiker? You girls, are you a little more cautious about who you pick up in the singles bar and take home? Like Mr. Goodbar, right? They see The Deliberate Stranger and they see it as entertainment. But Ted was real. He was real, man. He'd kill you and laugh. He enjoyed it. And I could sit there, like when I'm sitting with you, and talk about it. He relished it. And I'm thinking, wow, this guy, if only you could get his face on a camera when he's talking to me like this in the cage. He had followed my case in the detective magazines, and that he had killed 2 girls in Washington as a copycat crime, so to speak. And he would tell me that he took them up on the logging road and strangled them and had sex with their corpses and went back and had sex with their corpses and cut off their heads. He's like bragging to me. It wasn't exactly a brag, it was like a tribute. How many did you get, really, Jerry? They said 34. Did they get all of them? Or do you have private graveyards? I said, Dad, I'm the best. So he had 36. He wanted to be the best. And he was obsessed because they said I had 34. And he was afraid that I had ones that he didn't know about. See? And he was always trying to get me to say, no, that's all I got, 34, But I never would say that. I discerned that he was concerned about the number. And it was my own way of needling him back by saying, I'm the best, Ted. You're going to fry, and I'm going to be here. And I'll be the best, just like they said. The number 1. Mr. Stone had it all right. The best there ever was. And you're nothing.